Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon already, yeah. Although my schedule was supposed to be at 11:45 before noon, so we are way behind our schedule. I believe I need to keep my presentation straight and short. But first of all, I would like to welcome especially international delegates to Malaysia. And I hope you found your trip to Malaysia so far worthwhile and rewarding. And spend a few more days, to see what Malaysia, especially KL, have to offer. Our friend just now presented on halal tourism, or Islamic tourism. We do promote Islamic tourism in Malaysia as well. We have a special agency, actually Islamic Tourism Center, that does this job. Okay, what I will do today, I will share Malaysia's experience in bringing halal to the global market. So why do we need to bring halal to the global market? As you can see here, halal presents tremendous business opportunities globally in terms of global halal market, as reported by Thomson Reuters. The value of halal global market in 2015 was USD 3.2 trillion, and by 2019 it is expected to rise to 5.6 trillion US dollars. And obviously Islamic finance form the largest share of the halal global market, followed by food and beverages, pharmaceuticals, and cosmetics. Why? Because the Muslim population in the world is growing. By 2030, it is expected that 26.4% or 2.2 billion of the total world population will be the Muslims. So that is the reason why we should look at the Muslim market as a huge business opportunity going forward in whatever sectors we are operating in. Now, in terms of Malaysia, as I'm sharing Malaysia's experience, the exports of halal products and services, actually, in this case, halal products, keep rising from 23.9 billion ringgit, 23.9 billion ringgit in 2011 to 42 billion ringgit last year. 42 billion ringgit is about almost 10 billion ringgit, almost 10 billion US dollars. So we expect this value to keep rising, and the target is actually to achieve RM or ringgit Malaysia 50 billion by 2020. And major halal export products in 2016 were food and beverages, halal ingredients, palm oil derivatives, cosmetics, industrial chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. In terms of export market, China, Singapore, USA form the three largest export market. Our export to Singapore, obviously, as we all know, that half of exports to Singapore is actually re-exported to somewhere else. Could be to the Middle East, to your countries, to China, to the United States, and what have you. And in terms of halal industry in Malaysia, it is a national agenda. We have Halal Industry Master Plan, which was launched in 2008, and we are looking at setting the targets in 2020. Like I said just now, in terms of export target, we are looking at RM 50 billion RM by 2020. So the objective of Halal Industry Master Plan is to make Malaysia as a global hub that is referring to become center of innovation, trade and investment, global reference center, and this is very much reflected in the initiatives, in the strategies that we are implementing here in Malaysia. And in fact, we have strengthened further the halal industry development in Malaysia by establishing Malaysia Halal Council only last year. And this council is chaired by none other than the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, where HDC, Halal Development Corporation, and JAKIM, Islamic Development of Malaysia, as the Joint Secretariat. As you can see there also, there are, 11, 12 ministers sitting on this council, plus a Chief Secretary General, Attorney General, and another 14 chairman of states Islamic Council. So you can see that Halal Council is well represented, by federal as well as state governments. Yeah? Now, why does Malaysia, do this, or what Malaysia has achieved, what we are today? Because I think we have a comprehensive, perhaps the most comprehensive ecosystem when talking about halal development. So like I said just now, the whole thing is actually led by the Malaysia Halal Council, using a Halal Master Plan as the guiding principle. And we have government bodies, we have industry players working together. And within the government bodies, we have agencies responsible for policy or legislation, R&D, standards and certification, branding and promotion, where Matrade is very much doing it, even international relations as well, as we speak about bringing halal global. Yeah? And then in terms of products, not only we're looking at processed food, but also we're looking at ingredients, cosmetics and personal care, pharmaceuticals, and services, which include domestic, which include logistic, which include Islamic financing just now, which includes sukuk as well. So it is very, very well encompassing, when we talk about developing a halal industry in Malaysia. And the present state of halal industry in Malaysia, 7.5% contribution to GDP in 2015, 13.2 billion investment in HALMAS, Halal Park. We have, I think, 24 halal parks altogether in Malaysia. Like I said, we are very, very comprehensive in terms of what we are doing. 42.2 billion export of halal products in 2016. As you can see there, we have 1,401 companies that are exporting halal products out of more than 6,000 halal certified companies in Malaysia as of April 2016. Now, in terms of investment, like I said, not 24, 25 halal parks in Malaysia, out of which 14 are HALMAS. HALMAS is certified by Halal Development Corporation. This, in order to achieve HALMAS status, then they have to have certain criteria, very stringent in terms of criteria. They must have halal compliant officers. They must have certain level of technology, certain level of knowledge that people working in the industry, or at those companies. Then, as we all know, we are hosts for major multinational companies in producing halal products in the country. In terms of total investment, so far we have 13.2 billion ringgit Malaysia in the HALMAS parks. Standards, like I said, we have a very comprehensive ecosystem. We have a total of 14 standards. The first one was in 2005. We are talking about quality management systems from the perspective of Islam. And then we have, not only for food, we have halal standards for cosmetics, for, chemicals, for cosmetics, for pharmaceuticals, and even for hospitality services as well, as we heard previously. And as we all know, Malaysia is very much leading the halal initiatives in the world. One example is MIHAS, Malaysia International Halal Showcase. We have been organizing MIHAS for 14 years already, including the recent one last month. So far, over 6,400 exhibitors have taken part in MIHAS, with over 340,000 visitors coming from 80 countries. So we would like to use or to turn MIHAS as international, halal show, It is not only a marketplace for buyers to meet with sellers, but also a must-do, must-visit, must-participate event for those coming from all over the world to promote their products and services. And then we organize what we call International Sourcing Program. That is a program to bring, in the past, 300, 400 buyers for pre-arranged business matching with Malaysian exhibitors. As you can see there, the meetings going on between buyers and sellers. For 13 years, we have been organizing these. We already attracted more than 4,000 buyers from 50 countries. Meeting with over 6,000 Malaysian exporters as well as foreign exhibitors, and more than 50,000 pre-arranged business meetings have been arranged during this one day. It's a one-day event, actually one day prior to MIHAS itself. So this is a very important component of MIHAS, as the objective here is to allow buyers to meet with sellers and vice versa. And Malaysia, under MATRADE, have been participating in major international iconic trade fairs like Gulf Food, Foodex in Japan. Not only we are participating in trade shows in the Muslim countries, but also in non-Muslim countries like Foodex in Japan, like Fine Food in Australia, China Canton Fair, Hong Kong, Germany, and what have you. So we have been very aggressive in bringing Malaysian companies to participate in international trade shows, because we believe that one of the participation in international trade fairs is one of the effective ways of promoting products and services. So we will continue to do this. And other initiatives undertaken by my office, MATRADE, include Export Acceleration Mission, where bring specific companies representing specific sectors overseas, and we again arrange business meetings with local buyers. We organize export capacity building for Malaysian SMEs all the time. As you can see there, we collaborate with TPO's trade promotion organizations. We are working very closely with Japan, as you can see there in the picture, with Taiwan, with Cambodia, and many other countries. Again, besides MATRADE, SDC being the agency responsible to develop halal industry in Malaysia, they organize World Halal Conference every year in conjunction with MIHAS. Together, we call it World Halal Week. And besides that, they are working closely with other international partners. Like I said just now, they are currently in Cambodia. They are working with Taiwan, with Japan as well. And there is a special website, Global Halal Support Center, which provides information not only to Malaysian companies, but also companies around the world to see what halal is all about. Yeah? And obviously, JAKIM and Standards Malaysia working together, like I said just now, in developing new halal and Sharia compliance standards. Yeah? For example, JAKIM is responsible to arrange accreditation of foreign halal certification. So far, we recognize, or JAKIM recognized 67 standards from 40 countries. And of course, JAKIM provide halal advisory services in making Malaysia as a reference center when one talk about halal development. And then harmonization of halal standards. I think that's been going on for many years already, about harmonizing halal standards of various countries. I think at SMIC, yes, SMIC, sorry, Standards and Metrology Institute for Islamic countries, China, what went on Muslims. And I think because of the efforts
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Thank you so much for the speaker. Can I see the first slide for
First slide. This is the first slide.
second halal?
This one?
No, second.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about the halal industry, and I see your presentation. You are targeting for Muslims and non-Muslims. So, can I add, or like to suggest, if you're talking about the halal, maybe you can add for halal income. So meaning that so many people they are getting the income, the source of income is not halal. So how can I approach or talking about the halal thing is if the Muslim people, some of them they are making the money for non-halal source. So before you talking about the industry, is it possible talking about the people, the way they are making the money should be halal?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not the ustad or mufti. I cannot answer that question because we are already talking about hukum already, using non-halal money to buy halal products. I don't want to go to that, but I would like to focus on production of halal products, the stringent, rules and regulations that we have to go through. All right? Please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Matrade as well as Malaysia because for leading the whole Muslim economy sector. We've been leading in finance as well as other sector. Talking about that, do you think that based on your experience, do you see a unifying, because if you look at the definition of, let's say, halal, is different from borders to borders, it is infused a lot with culture. So do you think that with, let's say with SMIC, there would be a success to successfully basically create a global definition of halal? Or is it something which is far from being a reality?
I'm not saying that is far from being reality, but this is the effort that, members of especially OIC countries have been doing, that is to harmonize. We recognize each country has their own standards and certification. We are not saying that the whole world should only be one, or should be using only one standard, one certification, but what we are saying is let's sit down together and harmonize it. I think this is what we can do, but it has been taking a lot of time to do this. There have been many conferences, many meetings already, but as a Muslim country, we should work together, to come up with harmonized standards and certification. I think one day it will become reality, not only among OIC countries, but also domestic, or rather at the regional level. Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand are also talking about harmonizing our standards and certification in these three countries. So perhaps working in smaller groups will work faster, I guess, I hope.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So this may sound a bit like a dumb question. I apologize if that is a dumb question, but it seems great. It seems like Matrade, you're leading the halal initiative worldwide. But what I find is, as a layman, in the conventional news, this is not well known. So what is Matrade's role in pushing this initiative in the conventional news? So again, imprinting, about changing the definition or the mentality in regards to halal, in regards to anything to do with halal, really, basically.
Let me correct that. Matrade is not leading the halal initiative. Malaysia is leading the halal initiative. There are so many agencies involved along the halal value chain. Matrade's role is actually in terms of branding and promotion. That is the towards the tail end of the value chain. But as you can see in the slides just now, yeah, there is R&D agencies involved in R&D. You know, there are so many of them, MARDI, MPOB, universities. Yes, we are seeing that more and more universities are coming up with their R&D works, and this is very encouraging, you know. And then we have people involved in standard and certification and all that. So I'm not saying Matrade alone, but I'm saying about the entire, you know, process, the entire organization, the entire ecosystem, yeah, involving so many agencies there actually, and which is led by Majlis or Malaysia Halal Council. So yes,
basically
to
brand
answer your
solutions,
question,
right? Okay, so what is like the relationship or your role in terms of promoting it in the media itself? I mean, I understand you do get news
Yeah,
channels
yeah.
you promote, but on a global platform, that's what I meant. Thank you.
perhaps yes, you are right. Probably we are not doing enough in terms of selling ourselves, telling the world what we have. We have here so much, right? There's a lot of things that Malaysia is doing. Yeah, is ongoing process. The need for not only Matrade but Malaysia to raise, you know, the profile of halal industry in Malaysia and tell the world that this is what we are doing and this is our contribution to the ummah, right? But the fact that Malaysia, HDC, JAKIM, have been organizing this World Halal Conference, you know, World Convention for, what do you call it, international, or rather halal certification bodies around the world. That is the efforts that Malaysia is doing in, you know, bringing everyone together, you know, uplifting the standards of halal. And every day we want the whole world to recognize this is halal, this is the initiative taken by the Muslim community, you know, and hopefully with that, then more like non-Muslim just now using, consuming halal products. Again, like I said, halal product is not meant for the Muslims only. In fact, halal is not a mandatory, what do you call it, mandatory regulation for you to sell the products. Without halal certification, halal logo, you can sell, but perhaps non-Muslim won't buy. That's all. Because we have other options. We have halal products and non-halal products. So if a Muslim produce products without halal certification, the other Muslim guy, even non-Muslim also in Malaysia, we have a lot of non-Muslim companies that produce halal products. And they are selling more than the Muslims themselves. But as far as they are meeting the requirement, the standards, the regulations to become halal products, then why not? That's why I don't want to relate that. What about, you know, your question just now, buying halal products using non-halal money? All right, okay. Okay, I think time's up. I've been alerted that we are beyond our time already. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention or for staying this late. I think after this, you will have your lunch break. I hope the organizer will do that, will do announcement. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
see you
Wang.
again. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Alaikum Salam.